It all started innocently. Sandra was a new hire in our office, a slender, doe-eyed woman with a sharp wit and a smile that seemed to hold secrets. I was drawn to her from the moment she joined, even though I had no business being drawn to anyone. I had a wife at home, a loving woman who'd been my anchor through life's storms, but temptation is a sly predator, and I foolishly let myself be its prey. At first it was small talk in the office kitchen. Then it became longer conversations after hours, lingering by her desk when everyone else had left. She was charming, intoxicating even. I told myself it was harmless. I was mentoring her, guiding her through the ropes of a demanding corporate culture. But deep down, I knew the truth. I was crossing a line. One Friday evening, after a particularly stressful week, Sandra suggested we grab a drink. "Just one," she said, her voice playful. My better judgment screamed at me to decline, but the way she looked at me made my resolve crumble. We found ourselves at a dimly lit bar downtown. The air was heavy with the scent of whiskey and regret, though I wouldn't recognize the latter until much later. We laughed, shared stories, and as the hours melted away, so did my defenses. When she leaned in closer, her hand brushing against mine, I didn't pull away. And when she whispered that maybe we should take the night elsewhere, I followed her out the door. What followed was a whirlwind of stolen moments, hotels, late-night rendezvous, whispered lies to my wife about working late. It was thrilling at first, like stepping into a secret world where the mundane rules of life didn't apply. But secrets have a way of festering, and guilt is a relentless companion. One night, as Sandra lay asleep beside me in a cheap motel bed, my phone buzzed. It was a message from my wife, a simple, "I love you," accompanied by a picture of our daughter holding a drawing she had made for me. The weight of what I was doing crashed over me, but instead of ending it, I doubled down. I convinced myself I could manage it, that no one needed to know. I'd grown careless, drunk on the high of my double life. My wife, ever perceptive, noticed the late nights, the distant looks, the faint traces of perfume that weren't hers. One evening she confronted me, her voice trembling as she asked if there was someone else. I lied, of course, but I could see the seed of doubt had been planted. Sandra, too, began to change. The carefree woman I'd fallen into this mess with grew possessive, demanding more of my time, more of my attention. She wanted me to leave my wife, to make our affair something legitimate. But I wasn't ready to destroy the life I'd built, not yet. The breaking point came one evening when Sandra showed up unannounced at my house. My wife answered the door, confusion turning to horror as Sandra introduced herself as the woman I'd been seeing behind her back. The world seemed to tilt on its axis as my wife turned to me, her eyes filling with tears, then rage. What followed was chaos, a blur of shouting, accusations, and shattered trust. Sandra stormed off, and my wife, trembling with fury, told me to leave. I begged her to listen, to let me explain, but she was done. In that moment, I knew I'd lost her. Laura filed for divorce, taking Emily with her. The house, once filled with laughter and love, became a hollow shell. My daughter's drawing still hung on the fridge, but the warmth was gone. But Laura, despite her pain, sought solace and strength. She turned to our local church, a place she hadn't visited in years. The church's counseling sessions became her sanctuary, a space where she could confront her anger, sadness, and betrayal without being consumed by them. Through the pastor and a close-knit group of women who had faced similar struggles, Laura began to rebuild herself. She decided to forgive me, not for my sake, but for her own healing. "I can't carry the weight of hatred," she told me during one of our mediated conversations. "But forgiveness doesn't mean I'll take you back." Her words were a blow, but I understood. I had broken something in her that couldn't be repaired. Emily, too, struggled to adjust. She was too young to understand the full scope of what had happened, but she knew our family was no longer whole. The church became a second home for her, a place where she found friends and mentors who helped her process her emotions. Slowly, she began to smile again. Sandra's life took a darker turn. Shortly after our affair ended, she married her longtime fiancé, but the cracks in their relationship were evident. He had discovered her infidelity shortly before their wedding, but decided to go through with the marriage, hoping to rebuild their trust. But Sandra couldn't shake the weight of rejection and guilt. Her husband grew distant, and their arguments became a constant backdrop to her life. To cope, Sandra turned to alcohol and eventually drugs, seeking escape from the mess she had created. Her downward spiral reached its peak when she lost her job and was caught in possession of illegal substances. It was a wake-up call, and she sought help through a rehabilitation program funded by a local charity. Sandra found her way to a church much like Laura's, where she began to confront her past and seek forgiveness, not just from others, but from herself. Her faith grew stronger, and she started a new journey of repentance, but the consequences of her choices lingered. Her husband eventually left, unable to move past the betrayal. Sandra carried the cross of her past mistakes, a constant reminder of the pain she had caused. For Laura and Emily, life moved forward. Through the church's support, they found peace and purpose. Laura discovered a passion for helping others, volunteering to mentor women who had experienced similar betrayals. Emily thrived in her new environment, her laughter once again filling the spaces that had been silent for too long. As for me, I was left to grapple with the ruins of my life. I attended counseling, seeking to understand the why behind my actions. It was a slow, painful process, but it taught me lessons I should have learned long ago. Sandra, though forever scarred, found solace in her faith. Her days were filled with small victories, staying sober, helping others through their struggles, and slowly rebuilding her life. She carried her cross with grace, finding strength in her daily walk with God. Life is fragile, built on trust and choices that ripple far beyond our control. My story is a cautionary tale, a reminder that fleeting pleasures can lead to lasting pain. But it's also a story of redemption, of finding hope in the aftermath of destruction. To anyone standing at a crossroads, think carefully. No thrill is worth the cost of losing everything you hold dear. And if you've already made mistakes, know this: forgiveness is possible, but it begins with taking responsibility for your actions.
Life is often a series of choices, some small and inconsequential, others monumental and life-altering. Sandra's and Laura's stories remind us of the fragility of trust and the resilience of the human spirit. While betrayal may leave scars, the paths we choose afterward define the legacy of those choices. For Laura, forgiveness was her freedom. It wasn't easy to let go of the anger, but through her journey at the church and her support system, she learned to heal and rebuild a life for herself and Emily. Her strength serves as a beacon of hope for anyone facing heartbreak, a reminder that life can be beautiful again if we give ourselves the chance to heal. Sandra's journey, on the other hand, was a testament to the power of redemption. Though her choices led her down a dark path, she didn't let her mistakes define her forever. Finding faith and purpose helped her navigate her way out of the shadows, even if the scars of her past remained. As for me, I am a man who lives with the weight of my actions, a cautionary tale to anyone tempted by fleeting moments of desire. My family has found peace, even if I am no longer part of it, and that is a solace I cling to. Redemption is not an erasure of consequences, but an acknowledgement of them. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that life does not give you second chances lightly. If you're standing at a crossroads, think carefully. Choose the path you won't regret when the dust settles. Thank you for following this deeply personal and emotional journey. Stories like this are a reminder of life's complexities and the lessons we can learn from one another. If you found value in this story, if it touched your heart, or gave you something to think about, please consider supporting us by subscribing to the channel. By subscribing, you'll be part of a growing community where we share stories that inspire, teach, and move us to reflect on our own lives. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Your support helps us continue bringing these narratives to life. We'd also love to hear your thoughts and reflections. What choices have shaped your life? Have you found redemption or forgiveness in unexpected places? Share your story in the comments. We value every voice in our community. Thank you once again for being here, and taking the time to engage with this story. Until next time, take care, stay hopeful, and remember, every moment is a chance to choose better. We'll see you in the next one.